be over so that one can have peace of mind, Jare, Mama Nkechi said. As Alebiosu would say, better times are here. That man's mouth is too sweet. Even if revolution people succeed in their operation change, what difference can they make? She added. Don't talk like that, Mama Nkechi. Let us continue to pray. God can touch their hearts. Customer, tell me something. Who will you cast your vote for? No, that's personal affair. Okay, Mama Nkechi looked around to confirm that no one was eavesdropping. I know it is our children that deserve to win, but I'm afraid I would rather vote for Bale. I don't want to waste my votes. I doubt if these people will allow that boy to become chairman. No, Mama Nkechi, that's bad. After collecting Bala's money, okay, I will vote for whoever I see in my dream tonight. I collected from the two of them. Alhaji is spending the money market women paid him as due. Bala is spending that of his Oyinbo wife. Remember, those Oyinbos took our great-grandfathers as slaves many years ago. My sister, it is payback time. In fact, I have only collected a part payment. I'm expecting my balance. I'm disappointed in you, Mama Nkechi. In short, I don't know what to say to you. That is how things are, my customer. Will you pay 150 for the plantain? At least I have removed 100 naira for you. Please excuse me. Abba customer, are you annoyed? Up ARP, Mama Nkechi teased. Abeg, leave me, the other woman said as she walked away. Bala was in the company of some ARP escorts at Stade's place. They sat around the table. The morning of the election was barely some hours away. They were anxious like Christ's 12 disciples awaiting the descent of the Holy Spirit. The air in the room was frozen. The young men had been together for 2 days now. Every now and then, a call came through or was being made. So, comrades, I believe we are all up to the task. Vigilance is our watchword. Nothing must go behind you without you passing a comment. Nothing must pass in front of you without you challenging it. If anyone is moving around carelessly, demand why he is doing so. We have a breakfast appointment with the devil. Please, let us not forget our long spoon. We must not leave home too early, else he would say he has not finished preparing the meal. If we go late, he will say he has finished eating when he didn't even light a matchstick. The devil will never say to a visitor, "You have met me well," while eating. A middle-aged man on the face cap declared he is the party leader of Isale Akpata, one of the kingdoms making up Akpata local government. Thank you, Mr. Brown. As he rightly said, vigilance is a watchword. Newsstand is on standby. Miss Betty will be going around with a camera. She has promised to take a video coverage of the polls. The canvasser and party observers will be monitored by the leaders of the ward they belong to. I will be the one to man Ward C. Our other comrades will take care of the other wards. Everything we do on this polling day must be perfect. Any question? Bala inquired. Yes, our chairman to be. You said you will be handing over one of the wards. I believe since you are standing to be voted for, you should not be seen near the polling booth after casting your vote. A gentleman chipped in. You are right. What I mean is that I will specially have my own eye on Ward C being Uri Akpata, and as you all know, for obvious reasons, while my vice, Victor Joseph, will look after things in Etiodo. I believe we all know the party agents in the various units. Everything is in order. Tade reassured. Let us not forget that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. We must take that bold step today. Bala continued with an understanding eloquence. Let us shun being bought over. We must terminate the rule that has brought us pain so far. Bala, feeling rather agile, unlike his tired cohort, rose to his feet. He flung his right fist in the air menacingly. Victory is for God and him alone, but he let those whom he loved have a share of his surplus. Now we must arise and share in this victory. Today, our resolution is ad astra per aspera. Bala pronounced. The Latin maxim captured its mood, and it means to the start through the thick and thin. We must liberate our people. Comrades, what is our motto? Embrace the revolution or we force it on you. The men chorused, rising to their feet. The young men had not taken their seats even when a heavy rap of hand stampeded the door. It appeared that the wooden sitting room door could fall if they knocked harder. "Hello, children," a voice rang out from outside. The young men froze in their bent posture. They appeared like soldiers, locking in the dark to launch an attack. They exchanged glances in confusion. Bala motioned to them to stay quiet with one finger placed on his lips. Miss Betty had her sleep terminated by the noise. She came out of the room and was staring at the young men in bewilderment. She staggered as she approached, feeling dazed. She walked same way a drunkard would, dazzled by the full headlight of an approaching articulated lorry. "What's that shit happening? What's wrong?" Miss Betty seemed to have forgotten that she was not in the hotel where she lodged upon arrival at Akpata. She stared at the men as if she could hardly recognize them. She had insisted on joining Bala where he stayed so she could get a better feel of the election momentum. But the uncivilized manner she was interrupted from her sleep was a rude shock to her. "Opono, do you want us to remove this paper?" A coarse voice threatened. "What the hell is the problem?" Miss Betty yelled back at once. Bala rushed to clamp his large hands on her small pink lips. Then he pulled her into the room. "So you guys don't want to open? Or are you doubting whether we brought biscuit? Be informed it is kukuruku that we brought. You don't want us to disturb the neighbors, do you?" This thunderous voice made the sitting room reverberate. There was the pattern of an object against the door. "Let's have a parley. Don't force me to make this thing crow." The party leader of ARP in Etiodo tiptoed toward the door, but Tade was quick enough to pull him back, and they fell on each other. The coarse voice from the door end counted 1 to 3. Then the wooden door fell flat. The two hefty men who brought it down rose to their feet, smiling mischievously. Their eyes bulged, sparked, looking crimson red. Those eyes shone brightly like those of someone doing window shopping. The leader of the gang stamped in, treading upon the door gallantly. Like the other men, he tied a black bandana around his head. The man had on tight-fitting blue polo on black jeans. He stared at the young man closely like a specialist in forensic science. His eyes were sunken, making his lips look like the fleshly mesocarp of purple. They were 6 in number, but by his judgment, they could not stand in 3-man gang. He gave them a frosty stare. The frightened Tade hid behind the leader of ARP from Etiodu. He was stunned by the way the men pulled down the door of his father's house with ease. He felt consoled that he was all by himself. His wealthy parents had planned to let out the place. However, Atade moved in just in time before they did. "Where is your Oga? Won't he come to receive presidential handshake?" the leader of the group demanded. "We are not here to cause commotion. If you don't want to see our dark side, be good boys. Call out your Oga so that we can deliver our message and go." The man with a daring figure added. The sorry look of the young man alone proclaimed, "I am innocent. I don't understand what you are saying." "I guess they don't know," the man said, pretending to have forged the issue. "Now you are all deaf and dumb. But if it is money you want to share, you will be speaking grammar." "Foreman, watch time. Let's get them busted," another of the gang chipped in. "I will stay here. You guys can go in to complete the job," the leader of the gang declared. Two of the men ducked into the passage leading to the single room. When they got into the room, they met the astonished stare of Miss Betty. She was feeling uneasy, but she tried to keep this in check. She sat up on the bed. "Yes, can I help you?" "Oyinbo speaking English. So you are his popsy. Where is he? We don't have time to waste," one of the men asked. "I can see something," the other exclaimed. He took his time to laugh his eyes out. Then he walked up to the giant wardrobe. "Oh my God," Miss Betty exclaimed. One of the men had seen Bala's brown trouser on the wardrobe on top which he laid. The man grabbed Bala's leg, pulling him to the floor. Bala groaned as the painful fuddled his brain. His back felt as if a hedgehog had hit him with his spines. He had taken a frugal dinner in the day before. Now he felt strangely hungry in his pains. The two men mockingly chorused, "Long live chairman." One of them dropped to his knees, strangling Bala. Miss Betty was shoved aside by the other man as she rose to his rescue. She continued screaming, struggling with the man holding her tight by the arm. Having injected fright deep down the spine of Bala, the man let go of his neck. Bala was left frozen at the right corner of his room. The men left the room immediately. Miss Betty fell beside Bala as she continued screaming. "How far?" "Foreman, well done job," one of the men replied. "You all can go to sleep now. Please remember to pray that we won't come back and give you the message of eternal life. Pray hard. Come on, go to bed," the leaders of the gang ordered. Tade was the first to head for the room. His cohort filed behind him. Move it," the gang leader shouted. As the men treaded on the door, they fell once more. Chapter 9. In Apata local government, but it took 8 o'clock was the time voting was scheduled to kickstart, but it took some polling units till Monday before they could get their hearts together. There were different reasons for this. Some polling units ran out of ballot paper due to unexpected large turnout of voters. Also, there were insufficient election materials. Some other unit witnessed shortage of personnel to conduct the exercise. But this did not alter the election tempo. Akpata residents had obliged the restriction of human and vehicle movement. Shop and stall were under lock and key. Some children were locked indoors. Others played in the compounds. The adults gathered in front of their homes discussing. Some party loyalists passed the night at proposed polling booths. They anxiously hoped to be the first batch of voters to exercise their franchise. But by morning, they were disappointed to discover that the venue of the polling booth had been changed. They reluctantly went to join the queue at the new venue. There were 5 wards in all for the entire Akpata local government area. These wards were alphabetically listed from A to E. Each of these wards comprises 10 units. The polling units were presided over by 3 electoral staff. They are the presiding officer, the polling clerk, and the polling orderly. The presiding officer had the highest rank in each unit. Her duty was to sign and stamp the registration card of voters. She also signed and stamped ballot papers to be given to bona fide voters. She does this after the polling clerk cross-checked the voter's name in the voters register, while the polling orderly ensured that voting stopped at the scheduled time. Party canvassers went knocking on doors, moving from one house to another. They pleaded with those who cared to listen to dust their voter's card and come out to vote. Some unfortunate ones among them had a disheartening experience. They left some homes with a tale of lifetime to tell. Some were beaten black and blue. Others were baited with feces, and some got hot water bleach. There were also those who were chased out of opposition party-dominated homes with canes and cutlasses. Since there were just 2 parties left, residents had to succumb to the ideology either stood for. At the same time, some received heroic welcome from the homes they visited, even going as far as wining and dining with their party faithfuls. Rumor had it in Akpata that a female canvasser was stripped out of her clothing. She was working for Green White Green movement. She had gone into an apartment where ARP supporters reside en masse and was attacked by some young men. The lady confessed that it was the timely intervention of some older women that saved her from being raped. Those who saw her running out of the house almost nude gave different accounts of the story. They claimed that the lady was raped but could not own up. Who will experience such a shameful thing and come out in the open to confirm it? This was the rhetoric they used in backing their conviction. Those who believed tried finding out who the victim was, but the lady had gone into hiding just in time. This saved her more torment from scornful gaze. Also, news spread that Bala's father attacked some canvasser. The enthusiastic youth had expected a grand reception from him. This being that they are supporters of Alliance for Revolution Party. The old man left them unsuspecting and calmly returned to his hut. But to their surprise, he came out with a razor-sharp machete. It is sad that Baba Abike has not gotten over her yet, Tade commented. Reacting to the incident, he sat in a polling booth in Akpata in the company of another ARP supporter. He was acting as a party agent for ARP. Can he ever, even if he forgets, Abike, what of the fond memories of his wife? His friend said they were with the female presiding officer attending to voters on queue. Her assistant helped for voters' thumb printing and marking the fingernails of the thumb with indelible ink. I know Mama Abike will be proud of her son wherever she is right now. Baba Abike will also realize this soon. Tade added, hopefully, Bala will be fine. Hopefully? What's wrong? Yes, hopefully, Tade affirmed. Queue at the polling booth gradually disappeared. Voters now came out one at a time to vote. It was barely an hour left for voting to be rounded off. The queue that was long, calling like a snake, had turned to a dot. Then the peaceful atmosphere of Ori Akpata witnessed some disturbance in a young man breathlessly ran through the street. The policeman on patrol didn't pay attention to these strange behaviors of his. Those who saw him quickly recognized him as TJ. He moved from one polling booth to another, screaming, Bala is dying at the hospital. He came to Unit 2 to break this news to Tade. He substantiated this with details of his illness. He rendered an account of the attack launched on him during the course of the night. This was a shock to those who heard about it. Tade and his colleagues had chosen not to disclose this. Tade was mystified as to how TJ got to know. He could not help but develop an instant fever. The ARP supporters became weary since they had been expecting Bala all day long. They were now aware that all was not well as they were persuaded to believe. None, including Tade, could reach Bala or Miss Betty on their phones. This threw confusion into the camp of ARP as the news spread throughout Akpata. Some even declared that Bala had passed on. The ARP supporters in Akpata were blamed for keeping their teaming supporters in the dark. Tade arranged for a quick gathering with some party agents to ascertain the state of Bala's health. Young men and women had begun to mobilize to launch a protest. Those who had access to the internet spread the latest development via social networking sites like Facebook, Twitter, Bebo, To Go, among others. Police officers rose to the occasion. They took to the streets to ease the tension. Tade was looking terribly destabilized. He was close to shedding tears in the election quagmire. They had secretly taken Bala to a clinic during the early hours of the morning. Miss Betty had abandoned her video coverage tasks to stay with him. The clinic was a small shop close to Tade's place. The young men had informed the chemist who owns the place to keep Bala indoors. The chemist had calmed their fears, saying he didn't sustain any serious injury. Tade regretted not taking him to receive proper medical attention in a hospital. Little did he know that everything had been foreordained. TJ had completed the deal that earned him 20,000 naira. He was a card-carrying member of GWGM before decamping to ARP. He is the son of Chief Joko Tade, Joko Dollar. His father convinced him to betray his friends. Like most ARP enthusiasts, he simply wanted to identify with his fellow youth. This made him decamp. He desired relevance among his people. He got this sense of belonging in the camp of ARP. This strategy was a follow-up to the attack of Bala. In the other kingdom that made up Akpata, Green-White-Green movement had a commanding influence at the polling booth as well. The cooperation of the electoral officers assisted a great deal. The presiding officer, polling orderlies, and polling clerk were mainly residents of Akpata. They were drawn from the public primary and secondary schools in Akpata. They were all workers in the pay of the state government, which doubles as the ruling party, and were conscious of the fact that it is their submissiveness to the party in power that could safeguard their jobs. This was a familiar fact their boss needed not remind them of. GWGM knew how important victory at the local government pool was. This could guarantee their success at the gubernatorial election in the forthcoming general election. A clean, free, and fair fraud was duly observed in Akpata based on the instruction Noble Alhaji passed across through his bulky brown envelopes. Honorable Alebiosu, the incumbent chairman, had linked him with those that mattered when it comes to elections in the state. Rumors went around as regards the hijacking of ballot buses at the polling booth, but none in Akpata could come out the open to confirm such things. They were eyesore their sight had been forced to get accustomed to. Many of them simply observed, pretending to feel comfortable about these irregularities. Chief Joe Kodola, a loyalist of GWGM, tried persuading a party agent of ARP to do the bidding of his party in Ore-Akpata. He is one of the chiefs of Ore-Akpata Kingdom who had been bought over by Noble Alhaji. I'm warning you, don't force me to try something on you. It is your parents who would mourn for you that I pity, he said. The young man lifted his gaze to the police officer standing opposite him. Why you can't dey look my face? The officer retorted. Make you cooperate sharp sharp. Make you wan make person wey come vote meet us for this kind patrol? Abeg, we no get time. The officer added in pidgin English. Then the young man turned his gaze at the presiding officer and her colleagues, but they avoided his gaze, and the polling clerk even eased in disgust. The young man rose to his feet and gazed at the quiet streets. A realization of his dejectedness like a lone traveler hit him. He muttered some inaudible words to himself as of someone trying to remember something. But deep in his heart, he was weighing his soul-slime choice. He knew that being adamant could only slow them down and not restrained from the acting out their well-laid-out plan. With a heavy breath of resignation, he stretched out his right hand. His palm hung in the air like a floating star. The face of the female presiding officer brightened on seeing the young man's gesture. Aha! So how much do we offer you? Chief Joe Kodola asked, with a broad smile revealing the absent incisors in his creamy set of teeth. With this quid pro quo, Chief Joe Kodola had his way. Tade led some ARP faithful to the clinic where Bala was. They were highly disappointed, though relieved to see him looking healthy. He was soundly asleep with his head placed on the lap of Miss Betty. The young men had realized their folly. They had left the polling booth with their party unrepresented, but none of the men could precisely say whether TJ intentionally chose to deceive them or not. At least, Tade recalled that it was this same young man who informed himself and Bala of the demise of Agba. Notwithstanding their groans and debates, GWGM had cashed in on this flaw. Neither Noble Alhaji nor Bala cast their vote on the polling day. Many had come to know of Bala's whereabouts, but no one had seen Noble Alhaji. He had gone into hiding after his morning prayer in the mosque. Bala aide paid Dada a visit. It was some minutes before 4 o'clock. Those who had not voted in Akpata rushed to the polling before the clock struck the hour. This would mark the end of voting. Dada, the great man, the strong man that fought through with a push without stress, the self-sufficient farmer of Akpata, Ade said. He was trying to encourage his friend to go and cast his vote. Do you want my sneaking through people's backyard to come here to be in vain? There are many reasons why friends go out to visit one another, Dada said. But today, I have one mission. Nothing can make me change my mind. Dada's eyes narrowed as he spoke. Were you not alive when Alebiosu came all the way from Etiodu to campaign in Uri Akpata? Where are all the machines he promised farmers and the loans for small-scale businesses? I know, Ali, but that is why we must vote for change. Baba Ade persisted, skating the question. What can one do? Will the poor man own up that he has an idea when the man with the capital turned a deaf ear? Dada shouldered. His face had hardened. You are right, but we can't afford to continue to watch. Change is coming, Baba Ade said softly. And when will this be? Dada questioned angrily. He gazed at his friend, who was short of words. Dada's skinny face was squeezed up like rough buns. Baba Ade opened his mouth to give a response, but he was at his wit's end. Dada's eyes strayed to the compound opposite his. Some young men were playing football on the sun-baked soil. If only Baba had not disobeyed him, he thought. When he demanded, there was no spark in his voice. Baba Ade had noticed the dejectedness and comeliness in his voice. That reminds me, my friend, have you heard from our son of recent? This divisionary question of Baba Ade weighed him down the more. Baba Ade had failed to clear off the silence that damped their spirits. Dada pretended as though he had not heard the question. He felt a gross sense of shame each time someone asked him of Bala's whereabouts. Bala did not show up at home again after his mother was finally laid to rest. Dada silently wished that his son would not emerge victorious at the end of the day. He was afraid, reasonably though. He knew his life and that of Bala were at risk if he did. Like other peasants, Dada also believed in the cause of ARP stood for. In fact, there is a consensus opinion on the necessary change. Only that there are divergent views on whether there need be a bloody revolution. Voting had officially come to an end in the entire local government. In the state, businessmen rushed into available buses, but drivers wanted to get some money to make up for the fast-spent day. Akpata residents anxiously awaited the announcement of the results. Under the watchful eye of policemen, presiding officers turned ballot boxes. Then the counting began. 1, 2, 3. The party agent counted along with the presiding officers at polling units. Eager party supporters lent their voice to the count. Some were with their biros. They vigilantly watched to avert any mistake. After the counting, polling officer checked to confirm that total number of ballot paper tally with number of names on voters register. Result sheets and other election materials were transferred to the returning officers in the collation center. Rumor had it that the result from Akpata, Arin Akpata, and Bantale went in favor of ARP. This was judged by the votes counted so far at some polling units. There was partying at the apartment Noble Alhaji got for his family. The celebration began as the election was rounded off. Abeni, the first wife of Noble Alhaji, single-handedly foot the bill. Loud music rent the air of the compound. Abeni joyfully danced, making a circuit of the compound. Her friend danced after her, shouting, "Go, First Lady, go, First Lady," in a merry mood. When people asked Abeni about the whereabouts of her husband, she was full of smile. "You mean chairman?" was her response, even when that term was not used by the person asking. "He is on his way," she said finally. Chapter 10. The question, "Who will you vote for?" has been laid to rest in Akpata. The long-awaited due day was now immersed in the past, but the election has left Akpata residents in a state of hypnosis. It stole sleep from the eyes of many. Some were robbed of their appetites. Others, it was their natural right to be happy. Some discussed it in clusters on the streets. People defied the night as they went ahead gisting into the dark. A white crescent and some twinkling stars decorated the dark cloud. Some enthusiastic party supporters ran through the streets, chanting party songs. An old man sat with some youth at a bar discussing. The man beat his chest, swearing by the name of God that he had gotten a vision. To the pleasing ears of the youth, he declared that Bala would emerge victorious. ARP supporters could not hold back their joy. They went about a midnight prophetic mission. Those who felt Bala's possible emergence was cooked began to have a drink. They convinced some GWGM party supporters to denounce their loyalty for Noble Alhaji. This new convert confessed that Noble Alhaji must have won them over with juju. This made the prophetic team swell in number. These ARP supporters saw this as the beginning of signs and wonders. They embarked on winning more souls aggressively, shouting to pass across the message. Candles, lamps, generator-powered bulbs, lanterns, and torchlights confirmed the anxiety of Apapa's residents. The local government council was used to having dark nights, and this special night was no exception. But but for their innovativeness. Electric wires that ran through some streets at Etiodo were extremely low. This is the hometown of the Honorable Alebiosu. They could easily be mistaken for those used in drying clothes, unless to the point of serving as rope used for hanging campaign banners. That of Alebiosu Street inclusive. The aged parent of Honorable Alebiosu resides there, and these electric wires are low enough to be pulled by an average height man without stretching, but they had been like that for a while now. The the State Electoral Commission's headquarters, located at Oriri, served as the collection center. It welcomed people from the far and near. Those who could not get in stood by the gate, while some loitered around William Street to get the first-hand information. The usual quiet street had become the headquarters of tension in the state. Some local residents of surrounding houses were hanging out of their windows. Some were in the balconies. Only the privileged few were in the cathedral large Queen Elizabeth Hall. The light of a new morning had fallen on the window's pane. Electoral officers stood on a platform in the hall counting the votes. Party agents were becoming restless in the hall. Some journalists had already dozed off, and the State Electoral Commissioner, Professor Godfrey Olakunbi Martins, rose to his feet. The hunky man had gray beards. He was wearing a checkered tie with black single-breasted jacket, and he wore plain gray button-down collar shirt on gray trousers. His head shifted back and forth like those of a chicken as he walked up to the standing microphone. He scrutinized the sheet in his hands, then cleared his throat. The gentlemen of the press pushed themselves as they tried getting a good position for their equipment. TV station, radio station, and the print media houses were ably present. Miss Betty stood in for newsstand. She appeared calm on her seat with legs crossed. She had given little thought about combining a city job with her Akpata lover. Her complexion distinguished her in the hall. She captured every details on the face of the electoral commissioner. The man's face twitched as he began to speak into the microphone. She felt a twinge of fear as she sat at the edge of her seat. Chief Jokodola held his transistor to his ear. He simply wanted to make sure that the information sunk. His son, Tunji, sat opposite him in the living room. Dissatisfaction was written on his face as he strained his ear to follow up with the live radio broadcast. TJ had finally called, by the friend stood and moved closer to his father. He felt irritated by the way his father selfishly clung to the radio. Yes, go on, we are listening, Chief Jokodola said as his heartbeat quickened in anticipation. Chief, why is your anxiety this much? If someone comes in and meets you like this, the person will mistake you for Noble Alaji himself. Chief Jokodola scrawled as his son. It seems this boy does not know how much we are talking about here, he said, greeting his son's comment with a snort of derision. He thinks it is the peanut we gave him for backbiting. I didn't backbite anybody. You made me do it. All this, you are the one sponsoring my education, TJ retorted. and I mean it. That money is for the purchase of your Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination form, he said with a grutter voice. But should it? TJ gulped. Shh, quiet, eh? Yes, 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 yes. Chief, let's hear now, TJ said, plastering his ears lobe to the transistor. Ọpẹ́ o, yes, finally, finally, finally. Ah, this calls for great celebration. Tunji, go and get 2 ends in the compound. Chief Jokodola had dropped the transistor as TJ dejectedly fell back to his seat. Chief Jokodola wriggled his waist from side to side. He flung his hands in the air, bursting into songs. TJ gave him a quick glance and eased. Just remember me, oh, at least I also played a part in this. Shut up. Did you hear the gap? Did you? Chief Jokodola continued dancing, feeling exhilarated. TJ looked on with mixed feelings. He wasn't sure whether he felt happy or sad, but he knew his regret could not change a thing. It was the time of the day when workers hurriedly left for their places of work, and children of school age merrily trekked to school. But many others stormed the streets. This morning, full-time housewives, idle men, lazy community tout and jobless youth hit the streets. They gathered in clusters discussing. The gun on the night watching men blasted in Ori Akpata. This announced the victory of the man who pays their wages. Drummers took to the streets with their talking drums. The loud drum beat awakened those who defiled the temple with the land of to the land of sleep. GWGM cleared all the available councilship seats in Akpata. ARP was not so determined to capture these less attractive seats, as most of the candidates were seeking re-election under the platform of GWG. Some supporters of Alliance for Revolution Party went to bed in dissolution. Others contested the result in their discussion. They backed this up by narrating their different experiences at the poll. Those who had simply shook their heads, resigning to fate. Chapter 11. Different stroke for different folks indeed. It was passing on. Now I want all to join me in singing. She belched loudly, then began. Àti nà wọ́n, ojú wọn le, hallelujah. Àti nà wọ́n, ojú wọn le, hallelujah. She merely uttered those words in vernacular, not providing any rhymes. So the party supporters were looking lost, though contented with this. Meanwhile, some men had gathered discussion in low tones outside. They wore gloomy look and were clad in GWGM party Ankara. Onlookers stood across the red, keeping tab on the events transpiring at the bar. Some party supporters left the bar to join their cohort outside. An old man stood at their middle addressing them. Yeah, the only female amongst them screamed. Before the other party supporters could calm her, she took off down the road. This drew the onlookers closer. More GWGM supporters left the bar to join those outside. How did it all happen? An onlooker demanded. But the men didn't give a response. They continued chatting. Some looked on their disbelief. Some began to shed tears. Some Someone should go inside and tell this woman. We can't continue to watch her like this, the old man advised. But sir, you can as well go. At least you are the eldest among us. You know better how to let the cat out of the bag, one of the men said. This is just too sudden. Too sudden. How come? Another asked. The question poured in, but no man answers were forthcoming. Many of them had seen it all. They had witnessed how the campaigns all began. Little did they know it would end on this pathetic note. See, the earlier someone goes in and tell that woman, the better. No, her mental stability is imbalanced at the moment. Her medulla alertness must be kick-started before the news is divulged to her, a man putting on a brown collarless shirt said. He looked up to the skies, lost in thought. Our noble chairman, rest in peace, he added. See, time flies. We have to arrange for his burial today. Remember, he is an allergy, the old man said. No, I disagree, another man intruded. The morning of the election day, Noble Alaji attended my church and confessed Jesus as his personal Lord and Savior. He has to be brought to our church. His body and soul belongs to Christ. What is this man saying? Who doesn't know that anyone called Alaji is a Muslim? But the problem we have now is that the traditional religion worshippers have refused to release his corpse, the old man added. Why? I don't know myself. I suggest we go to meet the chief to ask, the other man concluded. The tragic news spread like an electromagnetic wave. At first, it went around like one of those rumors, not until it was scrolled on some television stations as breaking news. Then people whispered into each other's ears. For GWGM supporters, it was a victory having a tragic flavor. Chief Jokodola has also been hinted. He gets on a long bench in front of his house looking stupid. TJ ran around the compound. He was mimicking the celebration song his father had earlier sung in the day. He wriggled his waist in an exaggerated manner. His father cursed him under his breath as he watched him. He was disturbed as he was not too familiar with the running mate of Noble Alaji. The elders of the Ori Akpata had to meet urgently, he thought. But when will the 1 week ritual preceding his burial commence? He definitely must meet Oluwo to find out the cost of the item needed to clean the land. Who will pay for the rites? A soft voice questioned in the head. The family, the chiefs, the party, or the people. All Chief Jokodola knew for certain was that he was not ready to be levied. The gain he made from the election must be judiciously spent, he concluded. He has already decided how he would be spending this. He had his eyes set on the royal seat of the deceased. When he looked up in the direction of his gate, he saw some men approach. An old man clad in GWG party Ankara led his cohort to meet him. Songs of revolution popular among Akpata youth had easily been forgotten by someone. It was barely 3 days since the disappointment at the poll. ARP enthusiasts were forced to swallow hard the bitter taste of defeat. Foster bearing the picture of Mrs. Amanda Smart had replaced those of Noble Alaji. Many of them were placed directly on the former ones. Honorable Alebiosu was planning to have a big party on this day. The swearing-in ceremony of his sister had been fixed for the next. He had not extended an invitation to ARP supporters to grace the occasion. Bala sat on the bed in Tade's place, packing his clothes. He folded them one after another into a bag. Miss Betty stood in front of him watching. Her hands were folded on her almost completely flat chest. Her head was pointed forward, making her long nose seem longer. Betty, I have taken a decision. There is nothing you can say that can possibly discourage me. But what will you be doing here? I don't want us to stay apart. Or at least you can leave tomorrow or the next. By then, I'm sure you must have changed your mind to come with me, she said. Miss Betty desperately desired that Bala could stay back for some days. She had been denied access to Mrs. Amanda Smart 2 days back by her aide. This was when she went to have an interview with her. Her aide even went ahead to threaten her. They told her to her face that she had overstayed her visit in Akpata, but she felt she can get this all-important interview through Bala's intervention. If only he could accompany her to the place. Now she knew his departure could only mean that her work in Akpata was done with, and she had to leave willy-nilly. She was feeling like a clownfish forced to leave the protective, poisonous sting of the tentacles of the ammonia, all in search of food. And Bala was too resolute to notice her nostalgic feeling. Her further stay was a potential risk, she thought. She sighed. My love, please understand. I can't live for the city just like that. Maybe I have been a fool to think I could change what has always been. But the election is over. Reality has dawned on me. Sadly, our loss we must live with, and our gains, if any, appreciate. Bala declares. Miss Betty shuddered. She considered herself as the only gain Bala had gotten. Traveling now is the least of my agenda. Sure, in the future, I might change my mind. He got to his feet. Miss Betty brushed her hair with her fingernails. I can't walk out on the only pre-election treasure I have not lost. Bala held her hand, then linked his fingers through her lips. Her lips twitched. A teardrop cascaded down Bala's face, tracing the lines of his nose, and it disappeared on the lips that sucked it. Oh, dearie, don't cry. Everything is gonna be fine. Guess I will be leaving tomorrow then. Gotcha. I have got no business staying back. Just have to get one or two things I'm off. I can't even if I want to anyways. I have got enough threats via text on my phone. We will meet sometimes later in the city. Won't we, dearie? She asked almost in a breathless whisper. Yes, we shall see again. He took her in the arms in tight embrace. Miss Betty flung her hand across his shoulders as she nestled snugly against his warm chest. She tucked her head beneath his chin and held him tightly. Goodbye, Bala, she said, successfully pronouncing his name with the proper indigenous accent. The two separated. She held onto Bala's hands in simple empathy, raising her chin. Then she carried his duffel bag to see him off. Bala knew for sure that vast opportunities await him in the mega city of Lagos. He knew he could get a part-time job while he continued schooling, but he wanted to return to his father, to fall on his knees and seek for forgiveness for the pains he caused him, to tell him that the Bala had been myopic all the while. He wanted to share the consolation with him. This being Nemesis catching up with Noble Alaji. He had learnt from what seemed like a marriage, the overdue revolution, and he had learnt through the only practical means, the hard way. Chapter 12. In a scheduled hilltop in Oriakpata resides Oluwo. His home was situated in one of those places that earned Akpata's local government council a name. The wooden hut had been constructed decades ago. This was when he was much younger. Now, old age prevents him from maintaining this place. His grandsons were up to the task. The roof was made of bamboo and palm fronds. The bulky palm fronds overlapped to protect against adverse weather conditions. These palm fronds were regularly changed by his son. 3 was just a single door and no window in the place. The old man sat inside on a cane chair. He had white wrapper around his waist, and his bed chest was filled with gray hair. He was sorting some herbs scattered on the enamel tray. 2 of his grandsons sat on the floor beside him, learning. The 2 uprooted stood in shock when a boy burst into their hut. On realizing that it was Abogun's boy, they dropped their defensive post. The shabbily dressed boy squatted in front of Oluwo to catch his breath. He was terribly exhausted and his body shook with fright. The old man dropped the leaves he was sorting to stare at the boy. Oluwo, he gabbled. What message have you brought? Speak up. Al-Aji. No, it's Abogun. His voice quivered as he spoke. Yes, we are with you. What is wrong with Baba Abogun? Hope all is well. One Oluwo's grandson demanded. He sent me to tell Oluwo that a strange wind is threatening to ravage our land. He said I should tell Oluwo to assemble all initiates immediately. Why? Alhaji, the Bale, is dead in Abogun's spot. Oluwo turned to face his grandson. He was looking puzzled as his old face wrinkled. The elder of the grandson repeated what the boy said to him slowly and coherently. Oluwo nodded comprehensively. Old age had demented his right eardrum, but his left ear functioned properly. His grandson assisted him as he got to his feet. The men left immediately for Abogun's shrine. Noble Alhaji was carried out of the port by the young men. Oluwo insisted on attending to him privately. He decided to wash his stained head first. This he did by pouring water on his bald head and scrubbing with a sponge. Noble Alhaji gasped and persistently coughed. This simple act made him regain consciousness. Oluwo called Abogun aside. Why did you decide to have him in that pot? The old man queried. Oluwo, it is not as you think. It is a long story, Abogun said. He inherited the pot from his father, though he never had seen him use it before, and he didn't know how his father came about it in the first place. As Noble Alhaji had demanded potent medicine, he brought out the pot, and staying of Noble Alhaji in it was aimed at increasing the potency of the ritual. This was to make up for the huge sum he collected from Noble Alhaji. Alhaji is alive, Oluwo announced. Ah, Ogunye, Ogunye, it's enough, but you must not tell anyone. You believe he is dead. That remains, and that is what you will continue to tell everybody. He does not need any disturbance right now. He shall be staying at my place for the meantime, and the election is finally settled. He can leave. Abogun tells no one. I have heard you, Oluwo, I have heard. Keeping to this instruction, Abogun sent his boy to fetch the party leader of GWGM in Oriapata, Mr. Ogunbadejo. Is also an Ogun worshipper, so he narrated to him how Noble Alhaji supposedly passed on. Alhaji is dead, but keep in mind that all hope is not lost yet, he concluded. This declaration was the confirmation the party's supporters clung on. Mr. Ogunbadejo informed Abogun that Noble Alhaji had won the chairmanship election, and he expressed his strong belief that there was no other ray of hope, this being that Noble Alhaji was his benefactor. Then the man went about divulging the news to his colleagues in tears. Noble Alhaji speedily recuperated in Oluwo's hut. This is his third day there. He had begun to feel uncomfortable in his new abode. His mind was far away from the rocky terrain he was in. He had been receiving reports about what was transpiring in the camp of his party of late, and he was not so pleased with the information at his disposal. He felt his party had neglected him. He sat on the raffia mat beside Abogun. Oluwo sat on his cane chair opposite the men. You are welcome, Abogun. Thank you for coming around. Haba, Oluwo, I should rather thank you for saving my face in this land. Abogun replied, the critically examined Noble Alhaji. Even his pear-shaped belly has become lean, he thought, and his shiny dark skin had become dull. Alhaji, how are you feeling now? Well, I thank God I'm alive to give response. What are you saying again, Oluwo? Here is the God you should be thanking. He is the person. Well, if you say so, now let me tell you something. In the short period I was in that port, what am I even saying? In the very long period I was in that thing, I had an excursion to the land of God. Noble Alhaji said flatly. His outstretched legs were overlapped. His face looked bleaked, far older than his 47 years. I felt as if I was with God himself. I meant the Supreme Being. He added. These comments made Abogun gorge rise. He stared at Noble Alhaji brutishly. I saw Agbakin himself. I saw my mother too. I saw children and young adults sitting together on the floor in a circle. In fact, I saw a familiar face among them. Then all of a sudden, the children stood and began to walk towards me. At once, I took to my heels, but I flipped. I fell heavily with my head hitting the clean marble floor. Igbao. And what happened? Oluwo demanded with bated breath in a dreadful low tone. Noble Alhaji took his time to scratch his head. Then he stopped abruptly. He had felt a lamp formed on his head. Ah, the enemies are at it again. Ah, see my head is swollen, he said, bending his head to show the older men. No, Alhaji, maybe it was when you were being brought out of the pot. Even there is nothing wrong with your head, Abogun added. It is what you are thinking. These people are going far too. Now I am happy that I have the power to deal with them all, from my enemies to all my enemies' friend, my friendly enemies and my friends' enemies. It is total war against all of them. One by one, I will get them. In fact, Oluwo, I shall be leaving today. Not tomorrow, Abogun asked. Today, now. Never. Your dream has a message underlining it, and Abogun, say something else. That is how you always won. I must go and claim my seat. I have to put my enemies to shame. That is all I know, Noble Alhaji said in a surly manner. Calm down, my son, calm. Awo is right, so you must take it. Oluwo chipped in. Abogun changed his sitting position to face Noble Alhaji. The world wish you were dead. Imagine, not even one of your chiefs have come to demand how the burial rites are to be performed. They have forgotten you exist. They wish you don't. That you must know. Are you sure you want to leave? Abogun demanded. Yes, I am. Are you sure? I said yes. The men became silent. Think the other might want to say something. Noble Alhaji was lost in thought. He was contemplating how his homecoming would be like. He knew it definitely had to be a grand style. He had felt restricted in Oluwo's squalid hut. There wasn't the luxury of eating his choice meal, nor that of having his choice drink, nor servant at his beck and call. Also, he missed the family. Oluwo's place was always very quiet and peaceful, unlike his. There were no children and even no disputes to settle. This must end as soon as possible, he concluded. He looked at the faces of the other men for some seconds. Then he got up from the mat which served as his bed at night time. Time to begin a new thought, he thought. He left for the inner chamber, only to return almost immediately. Ulu advised that he should be walked home, and he obliged. Chapter 13. The atmosphere that greeted Bala on the street was different from the one he was used to. There was no boisterous crowd to lead. He need not strain his voice to exchange pleasantries. Only few were willing to greet their unsung hero, and he was pleased not to be given any undue attention. He ducked his left hand into his pocket, surveying the streets. He carried his bag with his right. He tried to imagine how these people would react if he were the alter ego of Akpata local government. He went to the locus of motorcyclists at the park, looking lonesome. He stopped to negotiate. The young man dubbed his cap to salute him, looking astonished. This drew the attention of the cohorts, and the non-hesitantly chorused, accept the revolution now, or we fox it on you. Many of them were ARP stalwarts. Thank you, Bala said tepidly, hopping onto the motorcycle. Our able and the only recognized chairman, our indefatigable spokesman, the voice of ARP in Akpata, the voice of the youth, the voice of the unemployed, the voice of the self-employed, the voice of the frustrated. The young men praised him to the skies, even as he sped off. Home? Yes, Bala replied. He was disappointed that the young man did not ask for the name of the street where he lived. He felt awkward thinking of how he had gained this outstanding popularity. Sit tight, the young man having on his face cap said, as he swerved to avoid a pedestrian crossing the road. The young man did not stop talking as he sped off. The wind made an assault on his speech. It made the word he uttered sound like babbles. But I have something that has been troubling my mind, and we have been having hot argument about this in the park all day. I wonder why you can't replace Noble Alhaji since he is now out of the picture. No, things are not done that way. It has already been declared that his party won that stand, and he has a running mate. The law in our state is clear on that. They have the people's mandate. Which people's mandate? Who are the people? If I have asked, as far as I'm concerned, you have my mandate. Maybe we should just forget about it, Bala said as he was uncomfortable with the way he was shouting. The breeze made communication an act of courage. We can't forget, the cyclist blustered. The ride continued in silence. It was a familiar route Bala knew so well. The potholes that had formed a motif on the sun-baked soil were still present. The pattern was like those of an ayoboard. Bala was in reminiscent mood. He thought of the plans he harbored for Apata, the internal communal affordable transportation buses he armed his campaign with, and the cheap transport fare tarring off roads would bring about. The dream he had for the drained, free, swampy roads. Now he knew those dreams had been blown off by a hostile wild wind. The motorcyclist slowed down, patiently landing into a pothole, jerking and ascending once again. The dust made him partially block his nostrils with his right hand thumb. He was already coming closer to home when he heard someone call his name persistently. How is family, my friend? Baba Ade asked. Thank you, but this is not the time for all that. There are far better things to get someone engaged in. Shall we leave now? It is not a night party. No, you are wrong. Our chairman, or is it chairwoman that I should call her, said it will be a 24 hours party. That means we are very late. You know the postponed date for the swearing in is tomorrow. Please, Baba Ade, be fast. We can't afford to miss out. But why organize such a party anyway? You people just love wasting money. That one is your revolution party's headache. At least we have money to spend, unlike you people. Are you coming or not? The albino man in GWGM party Ankara impatiently asked. He took off his pair of spectacles. He rubbed it on his chest to wipe the dust on its lens before putting it on. Relax. Let me quickly go inside and change. My friend, you know I'm not in support of chairwoman spending spree, but the money belongs to all of us. If we don't... Wait, is this not Bala? He asked, pointing towards the road. Bala, Bala, he called out. Bala instructed the motorcyclist to come to a halt. They had ridden past when he realized that it was Bala's aide house that the call came from. Let me get down here. Stop, he requested. He brought down his bag from the seat of the motorcycle. How much do I pay? No, don't worry. I told you that you have my mandate, notwithstanding the result. Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Any day, any time, always at your service, the young man added, riding off. Bala carried his bag and walked back to He still could not recognize who waved at him from a distance. When he did, he ran to Baba Ade and embraced him. "How are you, my son?" "I'm fine, sir." "And you? Are you, as you can see for yourself, that I'm not doing badly?" And Bami, Allah be praised, he is in your place. Bala asked. "No, he is not. He should be at home." "Okay, sir. But I want to make a request." "What?" "Let's move to one side of the road." The men moved to the pavement to discuss. "Sir, I have a request to make. I would like you to come home with me to pacify Bami. I know I have wronged him. I know he is very angry with me. But if you beg him, he will listen." "Ah, sorry, my son. My friends over there is waiting for me. We have an emergency GWGM party meeting to attend." "Sir, I thought you used to belong to Alliance for Revolution Party." "Yes, you are right, and I am still with your party. But this is an emergency meeting. It is a once-in-a-lifetime occasion. I must not miss it," Baba Ade said. "I just want to go and spy, that's all. Maybe when I'm back." He gulped. Baba Ade was interrupted by the commotion on the road. Passers-by were deserting the road. "Now that it is. Now what is it?" he snapped. "I hope they are not running simply because they saw a masquerade. Come, son." He pulled Bala by the hand as they moved inside his house. Baba Ade's friend had also gone in. He was peering through the window when they joined him. "What is it in Akpata this time around, though?" the man asked. He didn't even give a response to Bala's greetings. The road had suddenly become grave. But then a group of men walked past. They had white wrappers tied around their waists, with their protruded belly left bare. The faces were strong. A man dressed in green buba and shokoto was in the middle. He wore a broad and shattering smile. His teeth shone like those of a child as he turned his head left and right. He walked majestically and took his steps rhythmically. He looked gracefully basking in the euphoria of public gazes. The men in Baba Ade's house were mesmerized as they sighed. Bala almost bit off the tip of his tongue in shock. The albino friend of Baba Ade had taken off his spectacle. They ran out of the house when the men had passed. Their gaze rested on the man in green buba and shokoto, who had flung his hand in the air like a freedom fighter. Baba Ade's friend laughed painfully. "But this can't be true, eh? How come? How manage? It has never happened in Akpata before." Baba Ade broke the silence. "Baba Ade, so you saw what I saw?" his friend replied. "Was it a ghost?" "Ghosts don't walk around in groups during daylight, do they?" "Okay, let's say they are ghosts. But we all saw them with our eyes." "Baba Ade, this is not the time for argument. Let's leave for where we can get the first-hand information. And it is the second-hand. And is this the second-hand information? Did you forget to put on your glasses? Maybe we didn't see the same thing." "Leave that for now, Baba Ade. Are you still waiting? Do you like leftovers?" "My friend, it seems I won't be able to attend your party anymore. I don't need any first-hand information." "Dada must hear this," Baba Ade said. "You mean you will miss the Owambe?" "I said I'm not interested. Bala, come, let's go. But let us wait a bit. They have tormented our sides enough." Baba Ade wonders shall never end in our world. This friend retorted. But sir, I thought. Quiet, Bala. Baba Ade interrupted. The wall have ears. The gala event at the compound of Akpata local government house had kick-started. It was an open-air party. Guests were already seated. Gaily colored flowers were used to decorate the table. The atmosphere was gaiety, and the gatherers in colorful attires made the air more glamorous. The hostess and the host, Mrs. Amanda Smart and Honorable Alebiosu, were dressed in an embroidered cream voile lace. Top green, white, green movement party escorts in the state sat with them on the high table. Some supporters who could not get a set stood aloof. The aroma of eye-catching delicacies suited the nostrils of party supporters. They had been watching cultural dances and drama groups performed all day. This, coupled with the long speeches delivered by dignitaries, bored them. They were becoming impatient as they paid little attention to the master of ceremony. The MC was a TV star who cracked jokes that only dampened their hungry spirit. She had on an elegant coffee head tie, just like those of the hostess. Many other women wore similar haste head tie, while the men had uniform cap. The place was in a flurry of activity. The MC was just about inviting a live band to take over the stage. This would make the commencement of item 7. It would be served yourself. This is to assure you of the better time we shall be experiencing, she said. The MC continued the grandiloquy. The party enthusiasts shouted, exhilarated. Little did they know that their hungry stomach would not be satisfied. Their mouth had begun to water. All of a sudden, shoes and other footwears began to fly in the air. The adamant party supporters watched the pandemonium looming from afar. Then they sighed in the group as Noble Alhaji played to the gallery with the priest. He had galvanic effect in the party arena. Guests were completely riddled by the sight. Many fled without knowing why they did. The dignitaries on the high table threw courtesy of the winds. Compatriots pushed one another. The group had closed in on the tasteful decorated high table. Noble Alhaji watched with glee, gleaming with smile. Seeing him made the grizzled Honorable Alebiosu gag. Mrs. Amanda Smart suddenly developed gangrene on her legs. She gnagged at her fingernails, shivering in fright. Ghost! Ghost! Alhaji's ghost! She cried out as she fainted. Immediately her brother carried her off. He had begged for assistance but got none. Abogun led the group of initiates as they took over the center stage. The party ground was in disarray. White plastic chairs were upturned and footwear that were deserted laid around. Abogun's shoulders were raised as he paced around. His posture announced in gallantry, "I have raised the dead back to life. I am the true son of my father." Noble Alhaji picked the microphone. The master of ceremony had dropped while fleeing the smack, seeing the woman head tie on the floor. He got a chair and sat, facing the two-story building, Akpata local government building. People, I have come to claim my victory. I know some of you are not happy to see me. You forgot so fast that Akifiomo Ogunbogun, our grandfathers and great-grandfathers are not wrong. He gave a deep sigh and grimaced, "Really, I know my enemies, and my enemies know me. I know them all. Or maybe I should say I have come to know their true color. They would not even bury me before rejoicing, he said angrily, and his brows were frowned. He remarked this remark threw confusion into the midst of the party. Some shivered in fear. Those who could no longer stand it took off. Tomorrow I will be certified as the Lord of the land. Enemies, you lie, but I will correct you. The truth is that Adabi Okpejo Kondolopa. Now I am the heavyweight champion of Akpata. Don't attempt to stand in my way. And I have a message for my enemies, he declared smugly. He ascended, then screaming into the microphone, said, you have failed. He went from one serving table to another. He pulled the white stained cover, having gold sequin on them. Abogun rushed to hold him back, but he broke free from him. You have failed. He blasted into the microphone. Abogun could not stand the sight of the mess Noble Alhaji had created. He turned away in repugnance. The mouth-watering delicacies were in a mess, with the broken dishes all around. I say,
you all have failed. Afterwards, Noble Alhaji joined the men who had accompanied him to the place. That's so much money. All gone. You should not have done that, Abogun said pallidly. Noble Alhaji prostrated before the old man. Abogun quivered in excitement at this. He knew those watching would have gotten the message that he is the savior of their chairman. It was a good boost to his ego, he thought. Noble Alhaji rose to his feet at once in swift composure. He signaled to the older men with outstretched right hand that they could depart now. Then the men filed out in procession like liturgical ministers after the celebration of the Holy Mass. Blood-dripping rainbow. Chapter 14. 4 months had passed since Noble Alhaji assumed office as chairman of Apata local government area. Things were being reshaped in Apata local government house to suit the new taste of the new boss. Also, the single-story building, administrative block housing the boss's office, has been repainted. Its new look was influenced by the decision of the new boss. Notwithstanding criticisms from experts, Noble Alhaji insisted that the building should be painted red, this color being his favorite. The building had sash windows, and it was laced with bright colored flowers round, like the bed of paradise. This made it stand out among the other buildings occupying the large expanse of land. Since it was a new dawn and a new year, people could not help but harbor new hopes. This meant changes, and it reflected in Apata local government area and house. Some workers were redeployed. Those redeployed were mainly workers who served directly under the erstwhile chairman. Noble Alhaji had gotten a new secretary. She was redeployed to work with him. Her desk was adjacent to the door leading to her boss. The secretary, Rejoice by name, and another female staff sat discussing. You have turned to a biggest girl overnight. You now come to work anytime you like. You are the master of yourself. You know that nobody can query you. Tell me why you stayed so long in his office day before yesterday. What sort of a question is that? Don't ask me to explain further. Stop being mischievous. You know it already. A lady with long, stringy black hair said. Quit pretending. Just don't mess around with our darling chairman, Nenna added. Point of correction. My darling chairman, Rejoice quipped. Okay, you just let our young madam hear that from your mouth. And what will she do? Please, my sister, spare me that trash. At least she cheated someone to become his first. So, what's the big deal? Come nearer, let me whisper something into your ear. Rejoice, who was hunched over the desk as she spoke, moved closer to her friend. I overheard him telling an uncle of one of his wives downstairs some days back that he only plans to use First Lady as handbag. He assured the man that he intends dumping her sometime in the future. But I know his wives can't be comfortable with such excuse. Who knows when that sometime in the future will be? Maybe his wives should just take heart. She had on an artificial eyelashes that were excessively long. This made her eyes look like those of the sheep of the desert. That is it, Rejoice. Please sit up. Those party people must not meet us like this. And what have they been doing inside since? Do they want to sleep in there? So, you have started suspecting that something must be going on. There is no cause to bother yourself. At least there is no lady among them. The two ladies giggled. That is a consolation, and I know he is not a fag. If not for that, my mind will not be at rest. Things have been like this throughout this week anyway. It seems they all planned it. Everyone wants to come in and settle the dispute between him and Mrs. Smart, as if things have not been going on smoothly, even with the malice. Smoothly? But wait, is that the reason for this noise? The man is shouting on top of his voice. I am already used to it. The only time he didn't raise his voice this week was when Moi was with him. Is that so? But when will all this end? Many of the members of our staff who are friends of Ale Biosu are not happy with the enmity of the two. The discussion was interrupted when the visitors of Noble Alaji came out. They were all frowning as they hurried off. The group ran into some men at the entrance of the secretary's office. After exchanging greetings, the two groups discussed in low tone for some minutes. That is, if he listens to us. We shall see if we can table that before him. We shall try our best, Chief Jokodola, who led the new visitors, assured the other men. With this, the men parted ways with one another. Good morning, chiefs. You are welcome. Rejoice greeted the men with a courtesy bow. Please, come with me, she added. She led them into her boss's large office. Oh, what sort of people do I have around me? Noble Alaji ground out. Must you always barge into my office with uninvited guests? Couldn't you have ringed me? Sir, sorry, sir. Rejoice catwalked as she minced out of the office. She did this intentionally as a peacock spreads his tail feathers, shakes them, and struts in front of a peahen. Noble Alaji knew it was the familiarity between them that prompted this. He stared at her backside with a sneaky satisfaction before turning his gaze to the men. Would you sit down, please? Go on, have your seats. The three men hesitated before they did. They were dumbfounded by the cold reception accorded to them. Yes, please speak one at a time. Try and hit the nail on the head. You all know I'm a busy man. Who will go first? Wait, old age can be bad sometimes. Did I hear you right? I understand. Is it your fathers that you referred to as guests? Unwanted? Chief Jokodola queried. Noble Alaji looked away. Won't you answer my question? Or I don't deserve a response from you? Or could it be that I'm speaking the language of masquerades? Or is my mouth smelling, so you are afraid to open yours? He quizzed. Our most noble, humble, and amiable Alaji, Chief Badebo, chipped in. He cleared his throat before continuing. How is your health and family? The old man nodded as though replying his question. For some weeks now, We have been sending for you, but maybe because of your tight schedule, you were not chanced. So we decided to come and see for ourselves what has been holding you down. You have spoken wisely indeed. I must confess, I truly got all the messages. I am highly surprised to see you all. I know I ought to have visited my people since I relocated, but as you have rightly guessed, I have been really busy. You know, it's just one leg I have to the ground right now. Of recent, I have been considering drawing a timetable for my monthly visits to Ori Apata. This will enable me fulfill my duties as your distant Baale. This what? Wait Alaji. Let us understand ourselves. I just hope I have not heard you right. What do you mean by still being our Baale? Baale and the distant, for that matter. Chief Jokodola said in surly manner, please let us not make an issue of this. My eagle eyes are fixed on Ori Apata. You know, chiefs, you should count yourselves lucky for that. Maybe I should point out something here. I have been informed about the unfortunate man plotting to dethrone me. On what? Chief Jokodola jerked out. I know he is right in this office. Noble Alaji glared at Chief Jokodola icily. Let me use this medium to inform you all that it will not work. Tell other chiefs that I said so. You can't take my father's stool away from me in my lifetime. Do you think I will be happy to watch another man sit on it? Remember, T enu ba je oju asiti. So, I'm advising you all to shut your eyes in that respect. No, Noble Alaji, things are not done that way. You have chosen politics and you must leave one for another. Our kingdom is suffering. We need a leader. People have started grumbling. You must choose Alaji. Chief Jesu Jare added his voice. Never. Noble Alaji backed. You can't tell me that. After all I have done for you all, he added. The old men stared at one another. Our decisions stand. Nothing, I repeat, nothing can change that. Your dog can't watch over two houses at the same time. Chief Jokodola finalized. He sat in between the other chiefs, and when he rose, his cohorts did as well. Then he stormed out of the office. Noble Alaji stretched his arms and legs on his seat. He stared at a large portrait of himself hanging on the wall adjacent to his table. He felt the scent of fulfillment fill the air. His self-esteem inflated as he thought of the months gone by. He spinned on a chair, determined to enjoy every bit of the moment. This week was different from the last that he had been working himself into the ground of late. All because he wanted to create a serene working environment in Apata local government house. It was time to face the people in the grassroots, he thought. He pondered how he had unconsciously increased his enemy base, but he had paid the price to ascend. Although he felt he had to pay more, he could not even ascertain the amount expended for his ascension to office. He brought out a small bottle of gin from his drawer. Taking a gulp, he had already instructed his secretary to tell off visitors. He wanted to be all by himself. He knew he had a lot of work to do, but he had fatigue. He thought of going to his new apartment to rest. He lives here with Caro, but she had left for a shopping spree in the state capital. She is very fashionable and can spend her last dime to maintain her good looks. She is having a higher national diploma program in a polytechnic in Eyin, Apata, and had become the talk of the town since she moved into the chairman's classy new apartment. Noble Alhaji also considered leaving to visit his wives. He had not set his eyes on them since he assumed office. He knew they had heard of his resurrection over the phone to inform him that Agbeni was seriously ill. Her stale rival, Iya Ibeji, and her younger wife, Iyawo, were the ones taking care of her. Noble Alhaji wished he could visit them, but he could not face up to telling them why he secretly got a new wife. Noble Alhaji got married to Agbeni when he was 35, as a bachelor, contributing to his late marriage. It took Agbeni 3 years before she put to bed. He had impatiently married another woman. He did this barely a year after his engagement to Agbeni. This woman was Iya Ibeji, the mother of his twins. She bore him 2 males, unlike Agbeni, who bore him a female, while Iyawo, whom he married some years back, was yet to conceive. He went ahead with the marriage to compete with Baale Aledelola Alede, who had 3 wives. Baale Aleda, who had 3 wives. Then he strove hard to be placed on the same pedestal with the older Baales. Then increasing the number of his wives was a good way of doing that. If only he had married early, he sighed. He felt his son's pituitary glands were faulty. They had retarded growth, just as he did when he was much younger. He thought of how unlucky he was not to have a grown-up male child. He simply would have imposed his son. The cuckoo clock on the wall sounded. He looked up. It was just 3 o'clock. There was still an hour before the close of work for the day, but he knew he was a master unto himself. He brought out a mini CD player from the drawer. He depressed play button, then stopped almost immediately. He hissed as it was the track of King Sunny Ade. The title of the track means conscience. He detests the didactic theme of the track. He constantly depressed the next button, then relaxed back in satisfaction. The song track, Merciful God, gingered him up. He moved in his seat, dancing to the rhythm of his favorite. He loves the song since the theme was conquering one's adversary, and he had done that. But he was not sure whether it was God or the gods he owed his gratitude. He had not resolved this in his mind, and doubts if he ever will. But he was content that bothered him. He took a gulp from his bottle of gin once more. He stopped abruptly as the noise from outside his office caught his attention. He froze. His left ear lobe shifted as a rabbit will surveil its pinnae to locate the source of sound. He stopped the music and dropped the CD player into his drawer. He sensed it must be another intruder, probably a stubborn one. This was the view he had about his visitors in the past weeks. People thronged to his office, making one request or another. Others came to tender their complaints. Even some came to gossip. They told him about what had always been in Apata local government house, advising him to continue with them. All these bored him. He did not want to rush things. He wanted to perfectly understand how things were being done here. But he didn't want to be put through by his staff. He had no confidence just yet. At once, he got under his desk, taking his bottle of gin with him. His small stature made him comfortably do this. Rejoice rushed in after a woman dressed in Ankara, Iro, and Buba. Alhaji, Alha, aha. The woman turned to give Rejoice a questioning look. Where is he? I thought, Rejoice said, stammering. Noble Alhaji, in his hiding, could not fathom who the owner of the voice was. He gently opened the cover of the bottle of gin to gulp down its contents. What are you saying? Why didn't you tell me? Why did you try to prevent me from coming in? Just go and search for him, wherever at all. Help me find him, oh. Tell him that all hell will be let loose if I don't find my twins. A consuming fear erupted within Noble Alhaji. It took hold of him, making him jump out like a horse. He took a deep sigh as he tried to regain his composure. You see, Iya Ibeji, is that a joke? Where are my twins? But why were you hiding? Who were you hiding from? That one is not even my problem right now. What I want is my twins. Alhaji, 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 I repeat, my twins. Immediately, Iya Ibeji shoved Rejoice away to exit the office. Noble Alhaji made a circuit of his office in frustration. What is it? What kind of problem is this? Children, where are my car keys? Noble Alhaji said. He had started feeling dizzy. My cap. He paced nervously up and down before leaving. Oh, that means today is gone. Another day gone, Rejoice groaned. Tomorrow, yes, tomorrow is another day. She grinned. She was disappointed because she harbored the hope that Noble Alhaji would take her out. Chapter 15. He sat on a chair in Abogun's shrine. His gaze was fixed on the mat-covered entrance of the inner chamber. He anxiously awaits the raffia mat to give way. Abogun delayed in showing up. Noble Alhaji considered leaving for Oluwo's place, but he shrugged it off. He knew he could not locate the place on his own. Sadly, he resigned to waiting. Since it was working hours, he still had to return to his place of work. He had been there in the morning before rushing down to this place. Work could wait for now, he thought. His mind was not at rest. The twins were still missing. They were the heir to his throne. At least one of them will become Baale in the future, when they must have taken after their father's stocky nature. The man he had been waiting for breached in. Ah, Alhaji, when did you come? Abogun said, startled. No, Abogun, don't tell me that. I deserve an apology as the living chairman of Apata. You have kept me waiting here for so long. An excuse will not do your feigning ignorance of my presence. Alhaji, Noble Alhaji said, bristling with rage. I know your boy must have told you that I have been waiting since, but I was never informed. I don't know. Why would I want to delay you? I swear I don't know. That boy again. But I know his problem. My boy is sick. Accept my apology. Still, Noble Alhaji turned his gaze away. He was frowning. His eyes strayed into the big metal pot in a corner of the shrine. Such a disgusting thing, he thought. That same black pot bore his darkest moment in life. He had died and resurrected in it. He turned away to avoid a recap of the experience. But Alhaji, don't you think you need to learn how to watch your anger? Thin lines are finding their way on your young face. Noble Alhaji felt his face with both hands, as if to confirm the assertion. I can't help it, he replied innocuously. He turned his gaze to Abogun. My accent as chairman is tearing me apart. Sometimes I am even forced to think that it's because I'm not prepared for this. But I know I will definitely succeed. I won't blow this chance. My career has just begun. Aso Rock is my bus stop. I will successfully scale through this first stage. More fame, more pains. Relax your mind, Chairman. Of course, your buying a new mattress is not an assurance that you won't have sleepless nights. It is normal since you are new to politics. What exactly brought you here? Problem, Abogun, problem. A man with good peace of mind wouldn't love to come to this part of the world, Noble Alhaji said. There was no spark in his voice as he spoke. No problem is new under the sun. Problems are meant to go around, Abogun said thoughtfully. Abogun has his fair share of problems too. Their little world in the forest was no longer pleasing to his boy. He was bored out with the dull stasis of living with Abogun. He longed to go to school. The older man felt this was absurd. None of his other sons who were much older received formal education. They empowered themselves with whatever jobs they got. Also, they acquired different technical skills. Abogun just felt they were better off since they could provide the basic necessities of life for their individual families. One day, he chose to query the teenager. Why school, of all places? Which teacher can train you better than I'm doing? Or is it because of the canes I use? They use that in the school too. Don't you know that you are getting the best from my forefather's school? He quizzed. Things have changed, Baba. I know most of the boys in Ori Apata go to school. I see them when we go out. I want to go too. I don't want to become a traditional doctor. I want to become a big white man medicine doctor. The boy had replied, but Abogun shrugged it off, as if there were a difference between the two. He thought, his shrine is his hospital. He has the title Abogun, meaning Ogun worshipper, just like the medical doctors who receive formal education. Also, Abogun had come to know that traditional hospitals were the last resort.
My name is Cole, and I'm a member of the team for Naija ReadFest. It's been a very, very interesting day for us. We went all the way to Chrisland, which is the space for the just going around to see what the facility looks like. Um, talk to the staff around, interact with the people we're going to be working with, and um, check out what it is that works for us and that no works for us. It's really been an interesting day, because we really want to have the best for the ReadFest campaign. We're looking.
He knew he can afford another, but he was afraid of spending. He knew he could afford. He knows that investigatory bodies for money-related offenses like Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and Independent Corrupt Practices and other related offenses commission might be on the prowl. As a public officer, he didn't want to take chances. His eyes fell on an enameled tray. Some herbs were spread on it under an oak tree. The octagon-shaped tray laid on a brown-black dried leopard skin. The edges of this skin were curled up like an overstretched guinea fabric. A male lizard had climbed over it. Its orange head rested on the rusty circumference of the tray. The cold-blooded reptile was using its sticky tongue to lick off brown ants from the tray. Its trunk constricted and dilated as it did this. It brushed its belly on stones as it noticed the man paying close attention to it. Noble Alhaji was oddly curious, watching it. He turned, pretending as if he was returning to the shrine. When he peeped backwards, the lizard had descended from the oak tree it had just climbed to return to its meal. At that moment, he vowed never to be a prey to investigatory bodies that have begun fishing out corrupt public office holders in the state. But he will be stepping on toes in the process, he resolved. Yes, on big toes, suffering from the contagious infection named corruption, especially those of GWGM executives in the state, whom he had promised heaven on earth. He just can't stand imagining anything destroying his budding political career. Noble Alhaji returned to take his seat in the shrine. Abogun joined him. Don't worry, Alhaji. It is only a matter of time. Your sons will be found. Let your mind be at rest. They are doing well. It is your enemies at work. I knew it. I said it. I know they are the ones, Noble Alhaji interrupted. I will advise you to look into the schooling of your children. Think about it very well. Consider their safety. And most importantly, we need to make some sacrifices. Yes, it is very important that we do. For the safety of your children, you know. All right. Noble Alhaji brought out a brown envelope from his pocket. This should be enough for the sacrifice, he said, handing over the envelope to Abogun. The older man felt the envelope with both hands, pondering about the naira denomination inside. Don't let that disturb you anymore. Your children are fine, Abogun reiterated. Thank you, Abogun. Let me be on my way. Chapter 16. A voluntary search party combed through the entire Apata, but failed in their search for Noble Alhaji's twins. They were GWGM stalwarts, angered by the dastardly act. 2 weeks had gone by, but the children were yet to be found. Pajo advised his boss to take a decisive action. Consequently, a prize of 1 million naira was set aside for whoever can drop a hint that would lead to his having his sons back. Noble Alhaji felt it was awkward, relying solely on Abogun. Being a man, you would not settle for doubt. You would not settle for doubts, he conceded, but with reservation. He accepted to pay only half of the amount, and he insisted on the condition that the children must be hale and hearty. Pajo was assigned the task of making necessary consultations in Apata. Put it there. And disseminating the information. This became necessary since Noble Alhaji chose not to have posters printed. He gave his chauffeur some days off work to carry out this assignment. Those who heard about the ransom felt the money was tempting enough, but they could not meet the conditions attached to the offer. Pajo took his time to diligently carry out the job, and each daybreak saw him in agony for fear of failure. Pajo was born and bred in the streets of Apata. This gave him an advantage. He knew the right people to consult in the circumstance at hand. He diligently did this. He finally got some information. Some people had masterminded the kidnap of the twins. He didn't allow his boss to do the negotiations. He acted as the intermediary between him and the kidnappers. At first, the kidnappers demanded an increase in the ransom. Later, a compromise was reached, but Pajo went behind to demand 20% of the agreed amount from the kidnappers. This delayed the sealing of the deal. The kidnappers he deserved better, only that they were working for someone else. They are idle young men from Apata who had lost confidence in the ruling bourgeoisie, but are also blinded by their lust for money. Noble Alhaji parted with the money, but not without threatening Pajo. It is you I'm giving this money. Bear it in mind that I don't have any business with any other person. I don't know them, and I don't want to know them. I will hold you responsible if I don't find my children, he said. This greatly disturbed Pajo. He knows his job is at stake. He had not met with the kidnappers personally, but he knows he can hold Chief Jokodola responsible for any misfortune. This being that he was the one who acted as the intermediary between himself and the young men. Noble Alhaji has been having a series of nightmares of late. He is panicking over the safety of his children. He tried hiding his downcast mood while at work. His wife, Iya Ibeji, reported at his office daily. She wailed, cried, and issued threats all day. Noble Alhaji was perplexed by this. He would run away from the office at times. only to return to meet a too serene home. He had no feeling of companionship with his young lover. Caro hardly stayed at home. She never performed her wifely duties. If she had not left for school, she would be away shopping or passing the night in her parents' place. Noble Alhaji passed a comment that she was shopping like someone going to hell, so she had to get a lifetime's need. This came up in the discussion they had before her last travel. She was not angered by this comment, though there was simply no cause to be. He had not denied her anything at all, but Noble Alhaji felt deprived of a whole lot, yet he stomached the depression. All efforts by Noble Alhaji to make Caro concede to a reversal of the oath making the office of the First Lady her exclusive preserve were futile. When he was tired of being turned to a bachelor overnight, he called his office secretary over the phone. He begged her if she could prepare something delicious and bring it down to his place. She agreed to bring some food in the evening. It was not long that she moved in that Caro burst in. She had earlier hinted her friends to keep tabs on her man, suspecting his infidelity. She had actually gone to spend some days with a bereaved close friend, but she simply told Noble Alhaji in a casual tone that she was leaving. Noble Alhaji felt there were long odds against her returning so soon. Little did he know that she had been in a neighboring community all the while. She had raced back home when the phone call came through. She met Rejoice sitting on Noble Alhaji's laps, spoon feeding him. This made her gorge rise. If Noble Alhaji had known that she was temperamental, he wouldn't have mind prostrating to beg her. He did this in the past to compel her to carry out abortions. Noble Alhaji and Rejoice stood to attention in shock. The food flask she was holding dropped onto the marble floor. She clung onto Noble Alhaji from the back for safety. Caro's looks appeared demonic. She clumped along the sitting room towards them like a wrestler, scattering her braids. Just when the fear-laden Rejoice plotted to escape, she was attacked. Caro lifted the center table made of glass with the speed of lightning. Before Noble Alhaji could hold her back, she had landed it on her potential rival. The lady collapsed alongside the pieces of the glass. "If you dare come near me, if you even attempt to," Caro said threateningly, facing Noble Alhaji. She picked up a